Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy, Sports and Fitness Rants? I'm back, guys. Hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Got another great video for you guys today. As usual, you guys know the deal on this channel, man. We must continue to put some respect on Michael Jordan, put some respect in the 80s and the 90s by stopping the lies, stopping the narratives, stopping them from bending reality, rewriting the history. You guys know the deal, man. And in this video, we're going to speak about a narrative that Michael Jordan played against slow white guys, right? The slow and athletic white guys that Michael Jordan was being guarded by in the 80s and the 90s. We're going to talk about in this video because Michael Jordan played with slow, quote unquote, slow white guys. Remember, this is always in quotes, the slow white guy stuff. We're talking about in this video because he played with those same slow white guys, right? These people always want it one way, man. You guys know the deal, man. And I want to thank you guys, man, everyone out there across the world, everyone across the states, man, that's been supporting my channel, guys. Truly homeboy support, man. Shout out to everybody out there, man. Shout out to everybody in the membership, man. All you guys, man. I am truly humbled by that, man. Much respect. Real recognized, real. All the real basketball fans are standing up now, man. We're not standing for this any longer. We won't allow the lies and the narratives. So thank you to all you guys out there, man. Much respect, man. And you guys know what to do. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember, these videos are for educational purposes. And let's roll. So, yes, guys, man, once again, another narrative that we must, talk about and we must expose, we must stand up to, is this Michael Jordan played against slow, quote-unquote, slow white guys. Because the facts are that, like we said, I've done videos on this in this channel, right, guys? Michael Jordan did not play against slow white guys, but this is once again a narrative that they use to tear down the 80s and the 90s, right? And they always highlight guys like Jeff Hornacek or a Danny Ainge, a Dan Marley, and they'll say that, these guys were slow, unathletic white guys. And they'll also bring up a guy like a Larry Bird, and they'll call Larry Bird a slow, unathletic white guy. This is what they use. These are the narratives that they use to what? Rewrite history and bend reality. Because the reality is these guys were not slow, unathletic white guys. And the fact remains that if they're going to say that Michael Jordan played against slow, unathletic white guys and that somehow takes away from his greatness, then we must hold and call it both ways. Because Michael Jordan played with slow, unathletic white guys, right? Quote unquote, slow white guys. Michael Jordan played with these guys and was still able to win. Now, I did a video about a week or so ago, and I told you guys, or I talked about a lot of the role players in the journeyman that Michael Jordan made better. These were the guys that Michael Jordan literally improved through practice, right? Through holding them to a standard, things of that nature, right? He improved these guys. It wasn't the Scottie Pippins, the Horace Grants, the Dennis Rodmans, the Tony Kukocs, or a B.J. Armstrong, or John Paxson. It was the Bill Cartwrights, the Cliff Livingstons, the Craig Hodges, the Judd Bushlers, the Bob Hansons, the Steve Kerrs, the Ron Harpers, the Bill Wenningtons, the Scott Williams, the Stacey Kings. These are the kinds of guys that improved playing with Michael Jordan. These are the guys that were on the team. These were the other guys that the Bulls won with, that no one ever mentions. These are the guys that Michael Jordan was winning with. These are the guys that he, quote unquote, made better. He maximized. No one ever brings these guys up because no one knows these guys. They're journeymen and role players at best, guys. But when we think about some of these names, a lot of those guys that I mentioned were what? Quote unquote, slow white guys. But somehow Michael Jordan was able to win 6 championships with slow white guys on his roster. When you hear them say that Michael Jordan played against slow white guys, they make it seem as if it was Michael Jordan, all the guys that Michael Jordan went against were all slow white guys, right? That everybody in the NBA was slow white guys except for the guys that Michael Jordan played with. I told you, they'll tell us how great Scottie Pippen was, but at the same time, they'll tell us that there was nobody in the 90s. Oh, Michael Jordan played against nobody in the 90s. It was a watered-down era. Then how is Scottie Pippen that great then? It literally doesn't make any sense. It's hypocrisy at its finest. You guys will tell us Scottie Pippen was so great, but everybody else in the 90s wasn't that great. Similar thing. Michael Jordan went against slow white guys, but they won't acknowledge all the slow white guys that he played with and won with, right? They bring up Scottie Pippen, but they won't bring up Judd Bushler or Bob Hanson, right? They won't bring up Bill Wennington, right? They won't bring these guys up. So let's think about how many slow white guys, right, quote-unquote slow white guys Michael Jordan played with and won with. So once again, I just said Bob Hanson. Anybody know who Bob Hanson is? No one knows who Bob Hanson is. But Bob Hanson was on the Chicago Bulls, right? He won championships with the Chicago Bulls. Bob Hanson actually played minutes in game, I want to say it was game 5 or game 6, on game 6 of the 1992 NBA Finals. Bob Hanson was in there in the third quarter, guys. Remember, the Bulls were losing in that third quarter. Bob Hansen, some of the reserves came in, Scottie Pippen, right? And they made a little run. Bob Hansen, slow white guy, but he was on the court in the NBA Finals in 1992 for Michael Jordan and Chicago Bulls. No one brings him up, though. But Michael Jordan went against slow white guys. What's another slow white guy that Michael Jordan played? How about Will Perdue? Anybody remember Will Perdue? No, I'm not talking about the chicken guy. I'm talking about Will Perdue, the basketball player, the center with the narrow shoulders. Will Perdue, man. Right? Is Will Perdue a slow white guy? Right? Did Michael Jordan play with slow white guys? Everybody's a slow white guy, right? Except for Michael Jordan's teammates. Does anybody bring up Will Perdue? No, but Michael Jordan was able to win with a Will Perdue. Right? Once again, a role player. How about John Paxson? Wasn't John Paxson a white? Michael Jordan, starting point guard, right? Literally for the first two championships, 91, 92, was John Paxson before B.J. Armstrong took over the role in the 1993 season. But if you guys remember, who hit the big shot in 1993? John Paxson, right? But John Paxson's a slow white guy. But somehow Michael Jordan was winning with his starting point guard for the first two championships. His starting point guard was a slow white guy. His backcourt mate was a slow white guy. Michael Jordan was still winning, though. No excuses made. Once again, this quote-unquote slow white guy is all excuses, guys. I told you, it's all narratives. Narratives. These guys were not slow white guys. They could play. But let's think about some of the other quote-unquote slow white guys that Michael Jordan won with. Those three guys I mentioned were all part of the first three-peat, right? They won championships at some point during that first three-peat. But let's think about some of the other white guys that Michael Jordan was winning with during the second three-peat, right? How about Bill Wennington? Anybody remember Bill Wennington? Right, Bill Wennington, once again, the center for the Chicago Bulls during that second three-peat. A journeyman who played for several teams in his NBA career, Bill Wennington, right? Michael Jordan, once again, winning with the slow white guy on his roster, playing significant minutes in an NBA Finals. How about Luke Longley, right? Remember, Bill Wennington was the backup center to Luke Longley, who was another white guy from Australia. Shout out to everybody in Australia. But Luke Longley, the Australian, was he a slow white guy? Michael Jordan won with him. His two centers were white guys. Anybody say anything about that? No. But Michael Jordan played against slow white guys. How about Judd Bushler? Does anybody remember Judd Bushler? Judd Bushler, who played significant minutes, who played minutes in the NBA Finals, right? Part of the second three-peat, Judd Bushler. Does anybody say anything about him? Slow white guy. Michael Jordan played with slow white guys, right? No, they just say he played against slow white guys. Everyone's a slow white guy. How about Tony Kukoc? Everybody remember Tony Kukoc? Now, he's a European, quote-unquote, slow white guy, but he's white nonetheless, right? Does anybody bring up Tony Kukoc? No, they keep telling us how great Tony Kukoc was and how he made the second three-peat Bulls a super team, but everybody else is a slow white guy. Not Tony Kukoc, though. He's not a slow white guy because he played with Michael Jordan. You see what I'm saying here, guys? It doesn't add up. It does not add up. How about Steve Kerr? Is Steve Kerr a slow white guy? Steve Kerr a slow white guy? Right? Steve Kerr, once again, a journeyman, played for several teams before he came to Chicago Bulls, guys. A journeyman in his career. A role player. Michael Jordan won with Steve Kerr. Michael Jordan passed Steve Kerr in the 1997 NBA Finals. Steve Kerr was a backup point guard to Ron Harper in the second three-peat. The backup point guard was a slow white guy. His starting point guard for the first three-peat was a slow white guy. His starting center in the second three-peat was a slow white guy. Think of the starting lineup, guys, from time to time in the second three-peat. You would have Michael Jordan, Ron Harper, Scottie Pippen, Luke Longley, and Dennis Rodman, right? And sometimes you would have what? Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Ron Harper, Tony Kukoc, and Luke Longley. So two white guys in the starting lineup, two slow white guys in the starting lineup oftentimes, and the Bulls still were able to win. No excuses. Once again, it's a narrative, guys. Remember, these are narratives. These are lies that Michael Jordan and the guys in the 80s and 90s were slow white guys. Is Nikola Jokic a slow white guy? Is Luka Doncic a slow white guy? All they'll tell us, though, is that Larry Bird was unathletic. He was a slow white guy. All white people are slow. See, I've told you guys on this channel, you can miss me with that racial stuff. You can miss me with it. I told you, I'm black and white, man. But this whole white guys can't play basketball or white guys are unathletic, this all started from the LeBron James fan club. None of this stuff was ever said. When I was growing up, I never heard anybody talk about someone's white, they can't play basketball because they're white. We used to joke and say that white men can't jump. Yes, absolutely. You know about the movie. right? That was a stereotype from the 80s and the 90s. However, that had nothing to do with your overall game. I never remember anybody tearing down Larry Bird saying he was an unathletic white guy. He couldn't play because he was white. But the LeBron James fans, they must find new narratives and new lies to what? To rewrite the history and bend reality. All these guys are plumbers and taxi cab drivers. They're slow, unathletic white guys. Remember, anyone that's played basketball at any level, street ball, whatever it may be, if you really believe that someone can't play basketball because of their color of their skin, then you're a moron. You're going to get exposed on the basketball court, guys. Remember, never judge anybody by the way that they look, the clothes that they wear, right? Billy Hoyle, Billy Ho. Never judge anybody, man, because you go out there and you get your butt kicked. You get busted, man. You never underestimate your opponent. That's rule number one in sports. Literally rule number one. You never underestimate your opponent. I don't care what they look like, where they're from, what color their skin are. Only the LeBron James fans will say nonsense like this. Michael Jordan played against slow white guys. No, Michael Jordan played with slow white guys also, but you guys won't say that. Think about that. I just named what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 white guys. Quote unquote, 8 white guys that Michael Jordan won championships with. Should we go back in NBA's history and see who won more championships with more quote unquote white guys? I mean, my goodness, man. You guys don't do on this channel, man. Your skin color has nothing to do with your ability to play basketball, guys. Larry Bird is one of the greatest basketball players in the history of the NBA. Jerry West, one of the greatest basketball players in the history of the NBA. It doesn't matter if they're white. It does not matter. It doesn't matter. Anyone who's tearing down players based off of their color, anyone who keeps trying to tear down Michael Jordan by saying he played against slow white guys and they want to show you a picture of a Jeff Hornacek or like I said, Danny Ainge or Dan Marley, some of these other guys. Chris Mullin, was he a slow white guy? Once again, like I said, Nikola Jokic is dominating the NBA right now. How athletic is he? How fast is he? Can he jump high? Come on, man. I would definitely say that Larry Bird's a better athlete than Nikola Jokic, man. But the man's able to dominate because it's not only about the athleticism, it's about the overall game, the fundamentals, the skills, right, of these players. These guys worked on their games. They were established NBA role players, NBA veterans, man, and they gave effort, right? There's much more than I can say for a lot of the guys in this era who have the God-given athletic ability over a lot of those other quote-unquote white guys, but they don't have the effort, the heart of those guys, the grit of those guys, the toughness of those guys, the fundamentals of them. They don't. And Michael Jordan was able to win with multiple different kinds of people. I told you, role players, journeymen, white guys. It doesn't matter where they're from, man. But they'll always tell you he played against slow white guys, but they'll never highlight all the quote-unquote white guys that he played with, that he won with. You guys know what to do on this channel, man. It's all about the facts, guys. I'll catch you guys on the next one.